Welcome everyone to episode 284 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff and podcasts too. Today, Nicole Hartley Bradford joins the podcast. Nicole is working on building a community kind of environment. We'll talk a lot more about that in the podcast itself. This one's a kind of a change of pace. Like I said, I'm still kind of catching up from When Words Collide, and as a result, I'm kind of just going through it this week. There's no giveaways this week, just simply because I still need to catch up on a lot of things. I've been sending out my manuscript to some of my writing friends. I did that tonight. I'm also getting my t-shirt just about ready to go too, which excites me. I was thinking about this, right now, like about what I want. I wrote down what I wanted, and basically be a better person. Number 3. Number 2, release my novel at the end of the year, by the end of the year, which I'm hoping to do in November. And 3, move to BC also by November. So I'm kind of crazy to wanting both of those things at the same time, but I feel I want to go out with Calgary with a bang, and it proves something else to myself. And that's kind of what I want to do before I go. We'll see what happens with how things are going. It looks like November is when I'm going. I'm not 100% sure at this point. Things can change tomorrow, but this is where it seems to be right now. So that's where it is. And so for now, I'm just enjoying the ride and kind of seeing where it leads tomorrow. Anyway, let's get to my conversation with Nicole, shall we? Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint brings your creations to life. They believe in indies helping indies, and they have been known to contribute to everything from game jams to NaNoWriMo and everything in between. As a creator, you just bring your work to them, whether you're a writer, musician, or video game designer, or whatever the case may be, and they will help you format, proof, and distribute your project to a variety of different avenues. For more information, check them out at info@indieimprint.com.
I have so little listening time.
So I'm turning the media thing up right now. So the podcast is a very casual conversation, because we've had a very casual conversation about success, life, or what we do have in common.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna do actually a slightly more formal interview to start.
Okay.
With this. Who are you? The big question. One of the big ones. You don't have to answer it in a metaphysical way.
Just as a starting place. Oh, so what I know so far, or I think I know so far, is that one thing about me is that my name really suits me. Nicole is from Greek. It means victory of the people through the heart, essentially. Nike was the Greek goddess. She was a messenger of victory. And my middle name is Christine, which to me means through the Christ power, through the third eye, Christ power. It means that I've got to be pretty clear, else I get tumbled. And then Hartley, heart or deer, and a lee is a sheltered place, so a sheltered place where deer gather. And that speaks to my space holding kind of nature, my environment building kind of ecosystem stewarding nature. And then Bradford is the name I married into, and it means a wide way across water. And water as emotion for me means that I'm someone who isn't afraid of the depths and will help people cross those emotional fjords. And I know that I'm a hub of something, and it's this emerging, awakening village as a mindset and as a paradigm.
So explain that. What is the mindset and paradigm of the awakening village?
It's that as humans, as social animals who have this divinity to us, we're actually created to exist in the context of a group of people with whom we're intimately connected, with whom we belong. And the fracturing in society that's developed over thousands of years, or manifest over thousands of years as a result of something. And the something, as far as I kind of see it, is all of the things we had to kind of give up for the time being in order to survive. We kind of have to come back to grieving all that we lost and let go of, and grieving everything we didn't have time to grieve while we were getting survival down pat. It's almost as if now we have these fractures to heal, and as they heal, we find like soul group, soul family, and my kind of mission, as I understand it, is to set an example for that, of the healing process and of the gathering and attracting kind of process, and then of the fitting it in with the environmental factors that have come about on the planet. So the clarity that burning fossil fuels and industrialization and all this like artificiality of like methods and tools, it's got to, and we have a chance to kind of go back to more analog ways and more in-person ways and more handmade, earth-made ways. So that's my style anyway. I'm not saying other people should do it that way. It just makes so much sense for me to do it that way.
So why does it make so much sense for you to do it that way?
Because of the waste. Because, the Earth is a somewhat closed system. It receives sunlight. And it exists in a planetary, galactic, universal configuration materially. But when we decide that instead of getting our food from local farmers, we're going to go to a grocery store, and there's transportation and warehousing and overhead involved, we're choosing to make food more expensive and less accessible by participating in that kind of program. But if we decide to put our attention and our energy and our money and our focus into local systems, learn about planting seeds in whatever ground we have access to so that we can eat of that, learning to go out into the local wild and harvest from that, but not too much. Things like that we can centralize and we can localize and we can make more closed loops, and then the economy of our lives becomes like a regenerative economy rather than this kind of runaway growth economy that because of the waste and because of the costs, it can't be recouped.
No.
Yeah, we've been doing that a long time. We've been like letting these.
So I read a book called The Energy of Slaves about three years ago, and it's a really good book. It talks about the foundations of civilization, and the premise is every civilization is founded on power. So here's the good thing about oil. A lot of people don't think about it. Eliminated slavery.
Yeah, because we got all that energy from somewhere else.
Exactly. That's the good thing about it. Now, here's the bad thing about it. When we started tapping into this, 1 barrel. So there's a law. I don't know what you know about thermodynamics, right? If you want to create something, you have to sacrifice a resource to create something. So it costs 1 barrel of oil, for example. It used to be 100 years ago. 1 barrel of oil got you 100 barrels of oil. That's a lot. Like considering how oil ties into in terms of food growth, everything on this planet. That's an incredible amount of abundance. Do you know what that same barrel goes today?
No, tell me. I'm bracing myself.
7.
That's a reduction.
A huge reduction. And it's not even people, right? It's not people. There's just certain mentalities that exist when you have abundance. Like when you have when you have wealth, like not even talking about money, just have wealth, and you have it in great abundance, right? But the natural inclination with human nature is they don't want to lose it, right? Which is totally understandable, because if you have that wealth, that abundance, your life is a lot easier. You can do a lot more things. You can make a lot more interesting things happen, right? You're not worried about the day-to-day survival anymore. Now you can, if you want to travel to Bangladesh, you can travel to Bangladesh, no problem. If you want You want like a 32-ounce steak, right?
Oh my God, you read my mind.
Right. You want a 32-ounce steak, right? You can get it, no problem, because the abundance and the wealth is there. All the problems you really have, you can enjoy life. And who doesn't really want? I mean, let's be honest. On some level, we all.
Pleasure rocks, man.
Yeah, it does. And who doesn't want that? At least a little bit, right? And even look, we joked about this off. Like I said this, I don't chase anybody anymore. But you said, what about the ice cream man? It's like, okay, it's true. Maybe I would chase the ice cream man, okay? Because again, ice cream's a joy, and in little bunches, those kind of things are great. But you get used to wealth. You don't see a life without it, and you're willing to do anything necessary to have it. So one of the more interesting things was, you talk about Iceland, right? Iceland has a whole bunch of oil, one of those more stabler nations on the planet in terms of how they do business. But they also have, I believe it's Iceland. It could be Finland, one of the two. But they also have a huge arms race. There's that inner nature. Because this is what happens, right? You want to protect. You don't want to make sure no one can touch this abundance,
this preciousness,
or this abundance, because you don't want to lose it. So what happens is you build up this arms race. When you look at the United States, they're literally one of the most abundant. They still are one of the most abundant countries in the world. Even though I'm saying 1 to 7, that's still a very abundantly rich resource. Right. But because they're so afraid to lose, they have more arms than the next 26 countries combined. Right? But the mentality there, when you really break it down, you get rid of all the BS, they don't want to lose what they got.
Yeah.
Like you break it down fundamentally, they don't want to lose what they got. That's it. So when you see that and you understand you're going back to nature of power and systems and civilization, right? You suddenly understand what's going on in a very different light.
And that's one of the main paradigm shifts that I get the idea that I'm called to facilitate, to set an example of, is that I think like what we were talking about earlier about those subconscious things that drive us, and how we can want something but kind of want something else too, and when those conflicting almost wants collide, we tend to go either or rather than this and when it comes to power and the idea that advantage is to be taken rather than advantage is to be given, I think that's a major paradigm shift that is central to a regenerative village, like the culturally regenerative village, where if I see that you have an advantage, I might make a request of you rather than kind of fabricate a strategy to take advantage of you. And if you see that you have an advantage over me, you might invite me to become empowered by what you have.
That is a very tricky balance. We got to go back to human nature here. So there was I invite someone to come on the podcast a little reluctantly because the nature of how she requested to come on my podcast was very passive aggressive. I have an open door policy, but you can ask me. I'm pretty easy. Like I'm ridiculously easy. It's like, okay, sure, let's just whatever, right?
Yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah, all right. But the approach bothered me, but it was like maybe again she just wasn't comfortable in her skin. And then afterwards, they came to me for advice on a art business thing. And I during our conversation, other decisions she's made in regards to her career path, it came up. Some of them were kind of alarming. So she asked for advice. So I gave her advice on a business level.
Right.
You have to be a little ruthless. And I gave her that advice because I watched her, again, sometimes I'd see, like, based on what she was telling me, I could literally see it in myself that she was a very generous person that was tended to get taken advantage of. And the nature of the industry, of the art industry, is you have to be willing to stand up for yourself. On some level, you have to be willing to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's always someone out there that if they can take advantage of you, they will. Right. And you have to be very aware that that is an equal part of the mentality you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So this was the nature of my advice. The next day, I go on Facebook and I see a post where not only she took something I said to her, you don't have to worry about taking a bad job anymore, right? Because your kids are like in college now. You don't have to worry about feeding them. Sometimes you have to compromise, right? You compromise a little bit to make sure that your kids are taken care of. I totally get that. But you don't have that worry anymore. You can say no to certain things. The context that was presented on Facebook made it look like I was being incredibly heartless. Right? And I wasn't. I wasn't coming from that place. I was coming from the place of, okay, you told me about a couple of your other jobs. Your approach to even get me to come to do this interview with you, I'm concerned about this. And I was harsh. I was a bit harsh. But it wasn't from a mean place. Yeah. It was from I want you to succeed. I want you to have the best possible career, but you have to at some point stand up. Right? And my thanks for that was what I saw, and it was like and so one of the things, and she asked, all right, so one of the things I learned in that, like one of the things I had to accept on this was, I try to confront, haven't had that confrontation, so I'm just going to assume that they're like, again, like drama's out, wants to move on, fair enough. But at the same token, it's a lesson to me that sometimes people, when you give them help, aren't always ready for the help you're giving them. Right. It's Jesus used to always ask before he healed somebody, do you wish to be healed? Now, why would he ask that question? Right? If you're sick, you're afflicted, right? Why would you ask that question? Except it's a fair question to ask because when you go through any kind of healing process, it's painful sometimes, right? Not necessarily physically painful, but mentally you have to be willing to let certain preconceptions go, and you have to and maybe it's baggage, maybe it's stress, maybe it's an uncomfortable truth has to be revealed, right? That's life. That's just how it works. If you want the truth, you have to be willing to accept that you might have to let some things go, right? And that's where when I look at your philosophy, one of the hardest things about it is, that's where this balance is very tricky. Giving is great, actually a very rewarding thing. It can be an incredibly rewarding thing. But on the flip side, right? At least I mentioned this off the air. Some people aren't ready for good things, and I don't mean that like in a terrible way. But if someone here gets a truly good and wonderful thing, right? There's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Well, what did I do to get it? I don't deserve it. I don't. And and it happens to us all. Yeah. Right? We all are victims of that moment sometimes.
And there's what you just said there reminded me of this kind of phenomenon that I've personally been working with hard, and it's been painful. There's a part of me that is a giving part of me, and in order to give, like, in ways that are relevant, I have learned that I need to find out a lot more, like you say, about who I'm giving to and whether they actually want what I'm thinking I should give them, because often it's so easy as a giver to make assumptions about the receiver.
Yes, it is.
And to make assumptions about what they really need. And there are so many ways I am blind to what the truth of their circumstances are. So I've become a lot more careful around that. And as a receiver, in order to actually receive more, I've got to open.
Yes.
And that can be painful and scary, because as a receiver, I've often had things thrust at me, and I use that term like on purpose, because that sense of like the sexual nature of it, like the thrusting of like, here, take this is what you need, when this is actually just what is the person wants to give, and it's maybe not so much giving as getting. And there are these like dynamics in this like interrelational exchanges that call for fine distinctions and big awareness, and the expanding into being receptive of what's given, and also having the filter we were talking about earlier that says no, not that, but yes this, and yes this, not but yes this.
And but
fine.
Well, it's healers make the shittiest patients. They make the shittiest patients because.
And so do people who have never had the disease. The shittiest healers. There's a give and take in there. I was thinking about this morning. I was thinking about how the most potent points of pain that I've ever experienced help me become a really great informer to anyone who's helping people heal from that.
Yeah.
Because their blind spots are in their advantage. If they haven't had the experience I've had, the lived experience of that disease or infliction, it's easy for them to make a lot of wrong assumptions about what it's like to be in that position.
Absolutely.
And so working together, I think, is like the best potential.
It's my biggest fault as a person is sometimes I give advice I'm not asked to give, right? And it's not from a bad place. It's just from I see. For me, I tend to read people pretty well. I tend to really read them, and I can see it's like, okay, you're working on this, but you're also working on this. There is a coworker at work, at my day job, and when I see them, I can sometimes see the walls with people, right? And so I can literally see I see two parts of this. I see like this stony, almost like volcanic ash and like kind of wall on one hand. But I also see in the same individual, there's very much a heart on sleeve thing where at the same time. So this is someone that I know that if you do get to know them, they would be a very loyal friend, which I think is an amazing quality in that person. But I also, when I see that jagged wall of whatever this is, right? That also tells me that this is someone that at this point in their life maybe is either not ready, or not willing to break those walls down. And it's a temptation for me because every time I see them, it's a legitimate curiosity in the back of my head. All right, it always is. The temptation to expound on that is very strong. But I also know that if I do that, I will never get a chance to meet this person's friend. Right? I will never get that chance because what will happen is, and this is an exercise I have a big curiosity of things. I really want to know, right? But again, this is one of those. If this was a few years ago, I probably would have screwed it up. I probably would have screwed it up because I can see this, and it's like this is what they want, and having to respect that, right, takes time. I'm a lot less forgiving when people ask me for help, and that's just right. I'm a lot less forgiving because you're asking. Yeah. So I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah. And I'm going to be fair, but I'm not coming from a mean place. Right? But I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to sound very harsh. right? And you will take it or you won't, right? And again, I don't have as much empathy for that. If you're asking, I'm assuming you want the help.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have a personal kind of mantra, which is that the truth is the only thing I don't need protection from. But it's taken me a lot. It's taken a lot of experience to really want the truth and to accept that often when I get it, it's going to hurt at first. But that if I can process that hurt, the truth will set me free. It's what always does.
Yes.
The truth of myself, the truth of how things work, and where that rubs up against the ways that I've bought into falsity, it's always proven, without an exception, that accepting truth and letting go of the false and the incorrect and the misperception always brings about something that is more fulfilling and more rich. And it's worth going through that pain, but it sucks while I'm in it.
Well, it's growth.
Growing pains, it's a thing.
Grow through adversity. That's the only way we grow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the honest answer. Is that's like off the air, I talked about like me walking away.
Yeah.
I need to be a little bit more adversity if I'm going to go for bigger things. I'm going to have to put myself into those fires.
Yeah, you got to put yourself up against it.
Yeah, and kind of see where I measure up and where I fall short, and be brutally honest.
It's brave, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's gotta go.
Yeah.
You got to. Like, if I don't do this now, I'll never do it, and then I'll wonder. And I can't. That seems far more painful to me to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Right. It's true.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah. Yes. So, let's do something. Let's do a fun one. How did you meet my sister?
Oh, I met her at Rumble House.
Okay.
And she held up this painting, man, these dandelions in seed with the skulls as the seeds, and I was like, who is this woman? Oh my God, they were beautiful.
Wow.
I just love those paintings. She makes so much. The color with the black, and dandelion's my spirit plant. You know, they're out there, they're attacked, they're poisoned, there's war against dandelions, yet they grow up through the pavement.
Yes.
And they send these seeds out, and kids make wishes, and
well, see, if civilization were part of let's look at something really cool here. Like looking at the road right now, and the road is completely cracked.
Yeah.
So if civilization should collapse tomorrow, within a few months, this road would be in pieces. There'd be pieces of road still there, but it would be shrouded and taken over by dandelions and other vines and other things.
Bring it.
Yeah, it might. Like going back to
get an unpaved paradise, man. Overgrow the parking lot.
Yo, but I wouldn't mind the parking lot disappearing. But I mean, it's just one of those. It's just one of those things where you just look at it and kind of go like, that's where that's the thing. Like things will, no matter. I've learned this. Things are just going to be what they are. Yeah, right. No matter what. I've gotten older. I think where I miss being young is I fought it more when I was younger.
Yeah.
Now, some of that fight's good.
Yeah.
Some of that fight's...
Some of that youthful, like, edge and naive kind of...
Well, no, but that's good, though.
I love it.
No, it's...
Like, go, kids, go.
Well, no, it's teaching yourself how to still be a kid, right? Because... Okay, so I don't know about you, but the older I get, the dumber I feel. Not because
right?
Yeah.
Do you know there's a phrase for that? The Dunning-Kruger effect.
No.
The more knowledge and wisdom and experience you acquire, the lower your confidence gets. because you start to get that there's so much more to know, and you need to rely on other people to know things so that you don't have to know them.
We'll see. I don't have to worry about my confidence getting pulled up. That doesn't happen. I hate to break this. I'm okay. I've made peace with my inner man.
It's a different kind of confidence, right? When you're young and you think you know everything, and then you have this kind of brash, no, I know. I don't need you to talk because I know. You know the people like that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
No. It's like absolutely. Yes.
When you're like pride before fall, it's coming.
Well, no, you know what? Sometimes it doesn't, and I think no. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people get to go a long way with their pride before any kind of fall.
Well, no. So here's the thing I miss. I'll tell you what I actually miss.
Okay.
See, because they don't have an idea how things work, they challenge the status quo, right? And sometimes they win, right? Sometimes, right? Because you're not shackled by what you think you know.
Oh, good point.
Right?
That's a really good point.
You're not shackled by what you think you know. You're shackled only by how far you're willing to go.
Yeah.
Right? So.
That's good.
Yeah. I've made you think quite a bit today, I think.
Yeah, you have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. Have I helped you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I always approach these conversations as I can learn something from everybody. I deal with, right? So, this is like, I don't know, this is gonna be like episode 280 something. Like, it's like this is gonna be 280 something, maybe 286, 287, something like that. Anyway, so everybody I know is doing stuff. But I also love that this is actually gonna be in the conversation. All these random orders. But the thing is, right? I work very hard to keep myself somewhat kid-like, because I'm at that point in my life where I am no longer quite as fluid as I was when I was younger. That does go away a little bit, and that's unavoidable. I have to grow up, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But wow.
Go Heroes.
Big revelation. Fire truck. Anyways. But one of my mentors said this: you have to grow up, but you don't necessarily grow old. So right. So I mean, you look for the things that keep you youthful. You look for the things. You look for the challenges of. When you're young, you're taught to build walls. When you're older, you have to take them down. You have to. So I think it's not. I think it's not a question of, for me, it's confidence. It's like, I'm okay that I don't have all the answers. In fact, I'm a lot happier that I don't have all the answers. And instead, I'm more like, okay, I can throw all these assumptions out the window. What is there when you throw all the assumptions? Whatever's left is the truth.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm more open to that. I've been able to keep it. The one thing I've tried to keep open isn't my mind. That's the one thing I've tried to keep open. I've had to learn to let things go over the years. I'm not the same person who I was 2 years ago. I'm not the same person who I was 5 years ago. I'm certainly not the same person I was 10 years ago. Right? I've seen the evolution. As long as I keep evolving, I know I'm on the right path. When I stop, I'm screwed. Yeah, and I made you grin quite a bit in this chat. So I don't know. Did my sister make a good impression of me when she talked about me?
Yeah, and I love what I'm seeing in you as as we're sitting here, and I get to see like glimpses of your similarity, of your like siblingness.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
She's a remarkable woman, and
absolutely.
I'm so grateful to have her in my life.
And bigger than she seems, or bigger. She, for me, the quote with her is the Laura Williamson. It's not that we think we are weak. It's that we are powerful. That's her to a T. That's her to a T. I've been liking that she's been coming out of her shell more and more and more. She's letting herself be herself, and that's a good thing.
Those people, the people who are who live that are treasures to me. A friend comes to mind, and she, you know, when you first meet her, you know, unless you really are sensing for it, a person is probably likely not to pick up on any remarkable kindness. But as time goes by, and I get to experience how she is and moves, and the language she uses, I'm just lit up by how remarkable this person is, and so grateful for my capacity to appreciate and sense and see. Like, I have the eyes to see it and I have the ears to hear it, and I feel so grateful, and it's humbling while it's also empowering. I'm talking about a woman called Erica.
I don't know Erica, so yeah.
Or you.
Yes, it's okay. Like I said, there's
yeah.
There are people I'm supposed to meet.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Well, we all have our own path to walk.
Yeah.
Right. Mine is. I really don't know where it's going to go next. I just feel like what I'm doing now is going to be more amplified as time goes on.
Yeah.
Right. And where that leads and how that goes. Right. I just kind of just do it.
Yeah. And
right.
is a lot of it for you about just the joy and satisfaction in the moment of, like,
I'm a storyteller.
I'm
a storyteller who enjoys stories. I've been through my own bits of adversities of a rise and fall, and I'm pursuing what I believe success is. Right. And it's fascinating to talk to people who are on similar paths or trying to find their own way, carve their own niches. You learn a lot, right? Sometimes it's what not to do. Sometimes it's what to do. Sometimes there's just something about their story that's incredibly fascinating. And the things that I've figured out what the really successful people have in common. I figured out, and ironically, it's not that different from the 6 rules I mentioned. It's really not. I find I have a common. I learned what people. How to put this? I've learned what people are willing to share, and I'm also very actually honored that on some level or another that people trust me. Right, because I get this opportunity to hear these stories, and I let them go out however they're going to go out, and that's it. And sometimes they have these and go into some interesting conversations with Kelly, your friend. We talked about environmental stuff. We talked about his journey, the fact that he's about to do something very similar to what I'm doing. Yeah, right. That was where our conversation. I've had conversations about PTSD. I've had conversations about glitter. I've had conversations about stone flies. I've had conversations about God. I've had conversations about, like, and it's interesting because for all the differences, there's also some incredible similarities with the people I'm meeting on this path. And all I have to do, and I simplified this. All I really have to do is get on the way. That's it, right? I do that. I don't know where the big final end goal is. In terms of the financial, the wealth, and all, I have no idea. Right. But I do know that I'll be fine. Like, no matter what, I'll be fine, right? And that's really all you can hope for. So you did a TED Talk.
TEDx. Yeah.
Yes. So how did that go?
I've been writing about that. That's going to be the next post on my Patreon platform. There's 2 parts to it. One was how I got the talk, and then what happened after I took the spot. So expansive, because it's a platform, right? It's an amazing platform. That red dot, what a platform. Shoot, my talk is going to go out to 14 million YouTube subscribers.
Yes.
That's a chunk of people.
That's a chunk of people.
And even if only a slivery, tiny percent of those people watch it to the end.
If 1% of people listen to it, that's 140,000 people. Actually, no, I'm lying. No, 140,000. If you get 10%, that's 1.4 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's math.
I'm just gonna let you do. I trust the math. You do the math. I'll sit here and talk about how it was like an eye of a needle for me. That red dot. Like once I got there, that was my moment to say the most potent things from my 49 years of lived experience. And I wanted to distill and wrap it up in something that was not going to give people panic attacks, but also not going to just be like, oh, yeah, yay, good for you. And bringing it together for the first time, too. This is brand new at standing on that kind of potent platform. And I learned a lot about how to do it better next time. I also learned a lot about owning the potency I've gained through having let life have me. And I'm terrified. It's going to come out in a couple weeks, within the next couple weeks, and I'm going to show it to friends who weren't there, you know, and I'm gonna watch them watch me watch it, and hopefully then we'll just like have a conversation about the potent points that I brought into it. And I'm just really trusting other people's feedback, which is that it was good. And
so I'm going to reiterate rule 4.
Okay.
The rest is rain.
Yeah.
You've done what you set out to do, right? Yeah, right? You can't control how people take your message from here. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot control it. You've said your piece. Mm-hmm. So, there's a Bible quote. I came, I fought the good fight, I did what I did that battle. You've done your battle. That's it. It's over. What happens afterwards is going to happen afterwards. That's not your concern.
Yeah.
Right.
And yet I have these experiences from my past where often when I was positioned in a spotlight, I got taken down, man.
Sure.
I got beat up. I got bullied. They formed the Hate Nicole Club. And it's still in my cells, you know? And it's coming out, and that experience really put me up against it. So at 10 years old, I was picked on by everybody. Yeah.
Literally in this small town, I was really picked on by everybody. It was a good experience for me in this sense. I learned a very, very important thing. I learned when to tune out when people were saying anything that wasn't constructive anymore, right? Right? And again, this goes back to something I am. I learned this at 10. I can't control how people think. I can't control how people feel. I can't control what they're going to say. I can't. I don't have that power. Mm-hmm. Nor should I be trusted with such a power.
Right.
But flip side, I can control how I feel. When I do anything now, I did a presentation IFLA, for about crowdfunding. Talk about Patreon, talk about Kickstarter, talk about. So my thing was, okay, did I present pertinent information? Yes. Did I present in the best way I knew how? Yes. Did I do the very best I could? Yes. Did I get some help while I was there? Absolutely. Because you always miss one. But I've done everything I could control. So the question you should ask yourself actually is this: did you do everything you could control?
Absolutely. I did the very best I could with what I had at the time and with what I didn't have. And now I get to do something new too. It's exciting to me. So I get to go through this fire now.
Yes.
And I get to watch myself and sense myself and see what those responses do in me, and if they bring up more of that PTSD to clear and heal, awesome. Bring it.
I'm just saying, like, if biblical person.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
Proverbs 26:4. Proverbs 26:5. Look them up.
No, just tell me.
No. Look them up.
Okay,
When
yeah.
you deal with criticism, right? And also, this is my. I'll give you the other Bible. This one's another one. Bible verse. This one you won't have to look up. Those you should look up.
Okay.
Cast not your pearls before swine, lest they be trampled upon. That's social media.
Yeah, right. And this is the thing.
Right.
Those were my pearls.
Yeah.
Those are my pearls.
So here's the deal. Some people will trample. Some people will take it. Some people will do neither. Mm-hmm. Some will think about it. It's okay. No matter what the result is, it's okay. Mm-hmm. You did it.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Everything else, and now it's what's next, what you will do next, how you will proceed next with the path you're on. That's it. That's all you can do.
I'm so excited. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Being trusted with the spot, trusted to take the spot and speak from it. Oh my God. Yeah. So grateful.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah. I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
I've been enjoying myself immensely.
Yeah. So how about we do this?
Okay.
Talk about your Patreon, plug your Patreon.
Okay.
And plug how people can find you.
Okay.
And then we're done.
Okay. On Patreon, Nicole Hartley Bradford. That's my platform for Project Salvage, which is my is all the things I've pulled together. It's a process. It's a series of movements that help people to become the seed, the sapling, the sentinel species of a living village. The village that will salve the world and maybe save it. And I share on that platform from all kinds of angles, mostly about Project Salvage, Nicole's Project Salvage, but also to inspire and inform and connect people so that they can live out their own Project Salvage. So yeah,
that's cool.
Be our best lives.
A village to solve the world. There are far worse ideas out there. Nicole, I wish you the best luck on your dreams to make the world a better place. Hopefully, it sounds like you're on the right track to finding whatever answers you're looking for. And regardless of where it leads you, like I said, deal with the results you can. Do the best you can. That's all you can do. Beyond that, though, I wish you the best of luck. And if you ever want to come back on the show, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, this is going to be a short one this week. And it's amazing that at 48 minutes, this is actually a short one. But that will do it for this episode, Just Joshing. So if you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. First, there's my sponsor, Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint is a place if you're an independent creator, you want to go get your stuff designed, polished, edited, presented to the world. These are the guys to do it. Check out indieimprint.com for more information. And, tell them I sent you. Number one. Number two, support me. Subscribe to the podcast. I'm on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. I'm also on Podomatic. I'm also have a YouTube channel, Joshua Pantelleresco. My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, are courtesy of Mirror Publishing. Finally, you can find me at jpantelleresco on Instagram and Twitter. I have Facebook page, Josh Pantelleresco, writer, podcaster. Thanks for listening to my show. Above all else, stay inspired, and I'll see you guys next time.
Josh.